That wouldn't be me.
That's my Uncle June.
Hi,
This is Miss
Uncle,
Mama
nice
Claire.
to meet you. Oh,
Claire?
I guess I better, yeah, Claire. I guess I better put my stuff on here. I should know that much.
This is all about
Oh, yeah.
June team.
She
This
does.
show is about water,
Oh,
this particular
Good
show,
subject.
but give me something so I can make an announcement. Why?
did you hear about what they were saying that Tennessee County, Flint, Michigan, as far as the water, they're having more people with cancer than whole Tennessee County? Did you hear anything about that?
I've heard, I didn't hear that specific, but I have heard some things about
They supposed to be researching, well,
Yeah.
actually testing and see
Yes.
exactly is it true. That's why people still don't trust this water right now.
That's right, and they shouldn't.
And the Attorney General for Michigan is that Nessa, and she let them Governor Snyder and all those other people go there. She's supposed to bring it back up again, but she never did.
I think they got one last place they can go, and that's to the Michigan Supreme Court. And I don't think the Michigan Supreme Court going to allow them to pursue because they screwed up the cases by having a one-man grand jury, and everybody then threw out the cases because they said they didn't have no business charging them that way. And so I just think we done with that, with them, with Snyder now, unless something else come up. So she just done blew their cases, just blew them.
How can we vote her back in again after she done such?
But she when she came in, well, you're right, because she had to run again this last time, and you're right. I don't know. We just got to come together and
really know the issues. And,
yes, educate ourselves about the issues.
And not bring people in that's going to be, for the rich person.
That's right. But, they talk a good game when they're getting in there.
Well, see, but it should be all about the people.
That's right.
It's sad, but until we do face the issues and the facts on all the dialogue, we're going to be lost, right? I think we've got to start somewhere. It seems like we're going backwards instead of forward.
Well, sometimes when you're getting ready to go forward, you look like you're going backwards. Yeah. I'm saying that to say, when you go down so low, you ain't got nowhere to go but up. We down, but we not out.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
We're some zillions people, though. That's for sure.
Yes, for sure. And we done went through some storms. We put the Union on the map here in Flint, the city of Flint, in 1937. All of them had tried to get the Union, Ford, and I don't think Chrysler was that big back then, but we won the Union in the belly of the beast. We was the belly of General Motors. We was General Motors. We had all them factories here, and so we did it. So we just gotta. Now, do I have to call Laura or no?
Nope, I got it
okay.
Right here.
All right. How long is that video?
7 minutes.
Is that all? I was thinking it was gonna be longer than that.
Okay, so
Okay. And here we go. Here we are again, folks. Thanks to Flint City Blackout for allowing us to be on this podcast. And we're not gonna have a long podcast today, but we got three very important issues we want to cover. And we're going to have a Flint resident and a very special person, a professor over at Kettering. She's did a lot. Maybe some of you all don't know her name, Dr. Laura Sullivan, and she's on our Flint Water Committee, and she did some amazing work, and she's been very special to us at Democracy Defense League because of her expertise on environmental issues. And so she has a special uh, little uh, warning to give us today as it relates to some things that they're doing at the water tower. And she wants to put out a cautionary message to the residents of the city of Flint. And it's so sad that we're not hearing from the administration about the things that's going on with our water. So I'm going to turn it over to her to give us a little outline and present a little notice for the residents of the city of Flint. Take it away, Laura.
Thank you, Claire. In order to get federal money, there was a list of things that the city had to accomplish. And one of those things is to clean the inside and the outside of the water tower in Flint, which hadn't been done in a while. It's a maintenance issue. It doesn't necessarily signal that there's anything wrong, but it is something that the city should do. Sorry, I got a echo. But the problem, my concern is that it was scheduled for actually tomorrow, but the residents haven't been notified of things that they can do in case there's a problem. So one of the functions of the water tower is that it adds to the amount of water pressure that we have in the system overall, which is a good thing. Another thing that the water tower does, that big volume of water, is that if there is a main break somewhere in the system, it sort of dampens the effect of that change in pressure on the rest of the system. So if we have, let's say we have a fragile pipe somewhere and we have a water main break somewhere else, there's a pretty drastic change in pressure. And it's possible, if that pressure change is big enough, that could cause another fragile part of the pipe to break. And so one of the functions of the water tower is that big volume of water sort of absorbs that change in pressure, and we don't have sort of a snowball effect of a pipe breaking. So that said, and knowing that we have pretty fragile system right now, it's possible that without being on the water tower, without that being online, we could have a problem where one water main break leads to another. And the bad news of that would be that the city might have to shut off water in some part of the city temporarily while they fix that main break. And we're not, in general, as a city, residents, prepared for that. We should probably, for a long time now, have been recommended that we have water on hand for, say, flushing our toilets. Because if water's shut off, then you can't do that anymore. So what I would like everybody to do is for the next, I don't know how long this water tower is going to be down, but starting tomorrow and perhaps maybe a month and maybe 6 weeks, we'll know once they get in there, to just have in your house drinking water for a day and water for flushing your toilet for a day, just in case you're without water for that period of time. And then you'll be prepared. And if it doesn't happen, that's not a big loss. But if it does happen, you won't be caught unaware without an ability to do something about it.
Well, thank you so much, Laura, for that information. And again,
Sure.
Laura has been one of the uh, heroes behind the scenes working and helping residents to learn about their water. And she was also instrumental in ensuring that the water fountains, the donated fountains that were given to us, uh, were safe and properly running. And so our Flint Community School children have clean water at the faucet. Let's remember the water pipe replacement that was won by the concerned pastors and Melissa Mays did not cover schools and churches. So Laura Sullivan, along with some great staff at the Flint Community Schools, was able to get in there, and the donated fountains, Elon Musk donated the fountains for Flint Community Schools, and now our children, as a result, have safe drinking water at the school. So thanks again, Laura Sullivan, and I'm sure that won't be the last of hearing from Laura, and we're so glad that she's on our Flint Water Committee.
One other thing, Claire,
Yes,
one other thing,
yes,
as it applies to the schools. At the beginning of the water crisis, we were told that it wasn't possible for there to be lead in the water going into the schools because the pipes leading to the schools couldn't possibly have lead in them. And it's true that for some schools, there's no lead in the water, but some schools there is. And so not only should children drink from the water fountains and not from the faucet, but staff people in the schools who maybe, let's say, make coffee, they should never use faucet water for washing or making coffee or anything like that. They should only use water from the hydration stations because we still do see lead in the water coming into the school buildings, but we continue to find that there's no lead coming out of the drinking fountains. So it's safe water there, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's safe at the faucets in the school.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The hydration stations.
That's right. Drinking fountains. Right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for your continued work and commitment.
Sure. I'm honored. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're sure that won't be the last time that we talk to Dr. Sullivan because we need good information and we need dedicated people from all walks of life to weigh in on this situation. So the second issue, we've got 3 issues tonight. All of them are challenging for our residents. And the second issue is the pipe replacement. And I know some of you have probably seen the Scripps video. They gave a real expose of the situation we're in with the pipe replacement. We all know that the pipe replacement was a result of a lawsuit by the concerned pastors and individuals in our community, Melissa Mays being one. They were plaintiffs and they sued the state and the city with respect to the bad water, and that was in 2017. The pipe replacement, along with yard restoration, let's not forget that part, yard restoration, which there's untold number of residents who have not had their yard repaired from the pipe replacement. And then you've got other people who haven't even had the pipe replacement. Now, this Scripps video really puts it and compacts it into a story so that residents can understand what we're dealing with, what we're talking about. We're not just out here fighting among ourselves. Let's stop singing that. We just fighting among ourselves. Some of it is fighting among ourselves, and some of it is fighting for what we need. Fighting for what we need. So I'm gonna turn it over to the producer here, Dewan, to put the scripts video about the pipe replacement crisis. And it is a crisis that we are in as it relates to pipe replacement and yard restoration. Okay, so here we go. We want you to weigh in the chat. What should we do about these things? At the end of the day, it's up to us to make the change that we need for our community and ourselves and our future. Like, share on this video.
The water pipes coming into their home for lead.
They spray painted the pipeline and they put little flags, and then they left and they never did the work.
A Scripps News investigation discovered nearly a decade after the Flint Water Crisis, efforts to remove dangerous pipes have slowed to a crawl, and thousands of residents may still need their water pipes inspected, like Adia.
How does that feel?
Well, it feels like you have no power, no support. It feels like you don't matter. It feels like the world just keeps going on, and you keep going on. But like, yeah, like you don't matter. Like everyone here is not important enough. And it feels awful.
The problem started 9 years ago in 2014 when officials switched the source of the city's water in a cost-cutting move to the highly polluted Flint River. Its corrosive water caused underground pipes to begin leaching toxic amounts of lead into Flint's drinking water. As part of a settlement with Flint residents, the city was required to find and replace every lead water line. Court-order deadline for the entire project was June of 2020, more than 3 years ago. Just this past February, a federal judge determined the city has violated and is violating the settlement agreement and concluded it has not done what it has promised to do. And all along, the city could have tapped further into $100 million in state and federal funds set aside in that settlement for Flint to get the lead out. But our Scripps News investigation found that the pace of inspections has dropped more than 95% from a peak in 2018.
What is taking so long? We will not rush through this process just to say that we got it done.
Under Mayor Sheldon Neely's watch, the city of Flint has missed 3 court deadlines to finish the job. He blamed the first two on delays caused by the previous mayor and the pandemic, which initially did slow down work for much of the nation. We pressed him on the most recent miss.
And then there was another deadline after the pandemic started, and that was in September of 2022.
You got the data in front of you. Deadlines were set and deadlines were missed. I admit to that, right? Some could be contributed to me and some could be contributed to other pieces, right?
Early in his term, Mayor Neely's own administration cited the historic lack of proper record keeping for the city's failure to get the job done. But 3 years later, we discovered the city still does not know where its own contractors have carried out much of the work.
Does the city know where work has been done?
In many cases, we're evaluating that today.
So what's the number overall that needs to still be completed?
Well, those numbers are, elusive to say. I don't want to be nailed down to actually giving a particular number.
How do you go down the punch list of homes that you have to complete or homes that you have to visit if right here, as you and I are talking, you don't seem to know how many more there are to go?
You want me to give you a number?
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000.
I give you percentages. More than 90% of this process has been completed.
That's a number he repeated over and over again, no matter how hard we tried to pin him down.
We're going to stick with the number of more than 90%.
But Scripps News discovered more than 90% complete is also exactly where the city said it stood in this press release from August of 2020, nearly 3 years ago.
Flint is being left behind again, and that cannot happen.
Addie Rolnick is an attorney for the Natural Resources Defense Council, an environmental advocacy group that helped win the legal settlement on behalf of Flint's residents.
It's still not fixed.
The city has mismanaged this program for years.
And we found health risks are once again growing. Lead in Flint's drinking water dropped to its lowest level in 2021. But the most recent tests showed levels triple that amount. Still just below the threshold for action by the EPA, but trending in the wrong direction.
9 parts per billion, which is high. Our goal is to get the lead pipes out.
But when we visited Flint, we found crews on the street 9 years into this crisis, searching only now for dangerous water pipes at people's homes and finding them.
A project that was very easy to begin is more challenging to complete because we're still searching out a lot of those lines and trying to find and locate all of them.
The reason why really I'm pressing a little bit here today is that there are real people who are waiting for help and have been calling the city saying, please come to my house, please check my pipe.
Yeah, but that's not a statement of fact, Mark. I can't accept that as a statement of fact.
We shared 7 different stories of Flint residents with the mayor, including Adia McCullough, who all told us that they tried to get city contractors out to their homes, but are still waiting 9 years later. The mayor had trouble believing that.
If they're calling here, we have health navigators going door to door. The city hall is open every day. The lines are active and operational.
But the day we sat down with the mayor, here's what happened when we called the city's Get the Lead Out number for residents.
The user's mailbox is not available at this time. Thank you. Goodbye.
Can you put your head up just a little bit, buddy? There we go. Thank you.
Days later, the city told us it put a work order in for Adia's home. But life on the front lines of this crisis has broken Adia's trust in the city of Flint.
Something that shouldn't have happened should have been fixed immediately. And we shouldn't still be here years later trying to prove that it's not fixed.
Well, that was a very powerful little documentary on the situation we face with the water pipe replacement. And just a couple of little side notes about that. The Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, which is now called EGLE, they have failed to come in and try to put the pressure on the city to do what they're supposed to do as it relates to water. In the previous administration, the what was in the MDEQ, they was riding that they was living at City Hall, making sure the pipe work was done right. We haven't seen them. Whereas Mr. Reagan from the EPA, why aren't they here putting the pressure on? Now, and that number that was called about get the lead out, where you're supposed to be able to call if you don't have yard restoration, you don't have pipe replacement. That same message that they just got on that video is this. We checked it today. It's the same message. So why are you publicizing that number when you're not answering the phone? Mm. So we just in sad straits, but we have got to be the ones that speak out on this issue. Now, the young lady there from the Natural Resource Defense Council, along with Melissa May and the pastors, did go back to court last Friday, and they're saying that the city has missed too many deadlines, and we are asking the judge to charge the city of Flint $500 a day until they get the work done. Now, we as residents, we caught in a box because we don't want to spend $500 a day on something you should have did. We want our pipes replaced. That's what we want. We want our yards restored. This is what we want. So this is what we're going to have to call down to City Hall. We have to call our council people. We may even have to go to Lansing and demand that the MDEQ and the authorities do whatever is needed to get this work done, because this is a health and safety issue. This is not just some kind of project to make us feel good. The pipe replacement is a down payment. It's a down payment. It's not the end all and be all, but it's a down payment on us having, and a step closer to us having safe, clean water. And if they can't even do that with the millions and millions of dollars that's been dropped in this city, then we got a problem. And it's time for us as residents to take control of the situation, because the people that we have allowed to be in charge is not doing what they're supposed to do. So I remember this same judge that they're going before and asking for $500 a day. We don't want that. We do want them held accountable, but I don't want you to take it out of my pocket. I remember this Judge Lawson is the same judge that they're going before some years ago, before the water crisis, when they were talking about switching over to KWA and all that drama that went on then. And they had the state of Michigan. Now, please listen to what I'm saying, in case some of us weren't able to be around this. The state of Michigan, the MDEQ at the time, and the state of Michigan under Governor Snyder took the city of Flint. They took the city of Flint to court too. The state did. And what the judge and city council had to go to court. And when city council was down there in court, and some of us was down there with them, Judge Lawson told the city council, "Do y'all have a toothbrush?" That's what he told the city council. Did you all bring your toothbrush? What did he mean by that? He meant one or two things. You either gonna stay here till you get an agreement about what source of water you're gonna have, or you're going to jail. See, you can get jail time for contempt of court. How somebody has the audacity to defy a judge's order, they really got some nerve, because you can go to jail for that. And we don't want the city, our little tax dollars, to be used to enforce an order. So we really need to pay attention to these things, because if we don't be careful, we're gonna lose. It's gonna be lose-lose for residents. Lose-lose. You lose if you're paying $500 a day. You lose because you don't have your pipe replaced. There's a better way that this can be done. And so I'm encouraging everybody that's listening to this to get on your phone and start calling your city councilman and your state reps and your state senators. There's no excuse for them being elected officials and being silent while we're going through this. And we have no excuse for being silent as well. So we're done with part 2 of our issues tonight. And the final issue that we want to cover is the issue that that's been circulating around about the debt ceiling. Now we've been seeing that on the news. They came to agreement, the debt ceiling, lift the debt ceiling, and all this kind of stuff. The problem is we do not know if the agreement that was reached in Washington with the president and Congress, the Republican Congress and the Democratic president, we are hearing some very unsatisfactory news that part of the debt ceiling agreement would allow them to take unused COVID-19 funds and return them to the Treasury, to the federal Treasury. Now, it's my understanding that we in Flint got 30 or 40, I'm not sure of the number, $1 million still in the opera funds that has not been spent. Some cities have spent all their opera funds, so they don't have to return no money. But we in Flint been sitting on this money. I guess it's in the bank drawing interest or something. But if you got tarp on your roof and you got rehabilitation issues at your house, why should some money be sitting up somewhere when it could be used to service our residents? So we're really in a tricky situation with that debt ceiling, because we are informed that if the debt ceiling lapses and they've got till June 5th to raise the debt ceiling, that it could throw the whole national and international economic system into a crisis. People might not get their Social Security checks. Military people might not get their pay. All kinds of negative impacts if they don't raise the debt ceiling. But that being said, we do not want the ARPA funds, and we know we've been having some issues with the ARPA funds and how it's used and who's gonna get it and all that kind of stuff. And that's local, that we've been trying to sort all of that out. But we cannot afford for the federal government to demand that we return the unspent ARPA funds. So here again, our city council and our city administration need to sit down together for a change and come together with a some kind of outcome. Can you get that money together and go ahead and disperse it before June 5th? If that's what you have to do to keep from sending it back to Washington, that's what you need to do. For the rehab people, disperse it. Can you disperse it to the Habitat and GCCAA and other people that can do the rehab work for the residents? And trust me, we're not a big fan of giving to these same agencies that's been getting money. But under these circumstances, that might have to happen. But we need for the council to come together with the administration and come up with a solution if in fact this COVID money, this ARPA money is sitting there and being jeopardized to be sent back to Washington, D.C. We do not need to send it back. Regardless of our not little, but big debates and contention about how the money should be spent, and all of the dozens and dozens of residents that came to these meetings and saying what they want done in their neighborhood, their home. At the last city council meeting, one woman got up there and she said, I need a roof. We have needs and we have money to meet those needs. Now, what is standing in the way? So we're going to have to get in the way, because we're not going to sit up here and let y'all send this money back when we have needs that need to be met. And I challenge the council and the administration to come to first, they should be finding out if, in fact, ARPA money is in jeopardy of being sent back. This is something that we've heard, but we don't know for sure. But we have to turn to our city leaders to find out. Some of us in our group been on the phone talking to Kilby's office and different ones trying to find out. They claim they don't know. But what we do know is if that is the case, the city leadership has to take charge of the situation and disperse that money some kind of way. We are not going to send that money back. So that's all it is to it, bottom line. So my last point on the agenda, and please, I urge residents, call your city council and raise sand, and call City Hall, the mayor's office, and raise sand about all of these issues, about the water tower situation. They should be out there in doing public service announcements, letting people know they should store up on water just in case. Because as Dr. Sullivan shared with us, when they do certain changes to the water tower, it does sometimes precipitate problems in our water system. And we should be armed, to be forewarned and forearmed, have extra water at home, because if they have to shut the water off, you can't flush your toilet or use the faucet. So that was some good information for us, and it should have come from our city reps. And then the pipe replacement, the lawsuit was filed Friday. The judge has not made a decision, but again, Judge Lawson, this same judge that they're going to, asking him to charge $500 a day, he was on the verge of sending city council to jail. So when the state came in and sued the city for not getting a long-term water source, he was ready to put city council in jail. And then the debt ceiling, our representatives in Washington, in particular, Kildee, Stabenow, Peters, they should be coming in here giving us an update on that debt ceiling situation. If we're going to be negatively harmed, we need to go into action right away. So that's all we have for today. I do want to inform our residents about this upcoming Juneteenth activities. And so I would like to let you know we've got to get out, because celebrating Juneteenth is like celebrating a victory. And I don't know if you all can see this, but this is the schedule of just a tremendous, awesome a line of events going on, something for everybody. And you can get in touch to learn more about the Juneteenth events, which the kickoff is June 10th, the 10th of June, Saturday, from 1 to 5 at Service Park. And there's going to be a number of other, we see here, we got the historic St. John Street dance. So Juneteenth is a celebration for us, and sometimes it's good to celebrate what we have won and where we have come from, because it gives us inspiration to move on to what the challenges we face today. So again, get your paper and pencil so you won't miss out, and you can call DeJuan Robinson at 313-258-8967. That again, that's 313-258-8967. And so we'll see you in 2 weeks unless something urgent happens, and then we might have to come in here for a special edition of Democracy Defense League. And again, pressure, if enough pressure can bust an iron pipe, as one auto worker told me years ago in the plant. Pressure is all we have, our voices and our bodies. That's all we got. That's all we got. And if we use them in the right way, we can make the change that we're seeking. So again, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for visiting us for another edition of Democracy Defense League podcast. Have a good night.